Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your first time here. My name is Troy, and today I'm going to dive deep into my dividend growth portfolio that I'm going to eventually use to retire early. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing everything you'd possibly want to know, including my current portfolio value, my best and worst performers in September and all time, what was bought in September, the dividends received in September, looking at the month over month and year over year progress of those dividends, and then lastly, I'm going to check on my career dividends received, and I'll even show you how my very own dividend snowball is coming along. Before we go any further, I really want to know what you guys made in September and how much you made to close out Q3. So let me know that down in the comments, and I'm going to share mine later on in the video. But now let's go ahead and see how this portfolio has grown so far in 2024. All right, and looking here, you guys can see this fancy little chart with my account balance going all the way back to January, the start of this year. This portfolio had an account balance of $67,196.27. Concluding last month, that went up to $80,821.41, and now concluding September, we're up to $83,312.28. That gives us a year-to-date growth of $16,116.01, which is 23.98%, a month-over-month growth of $2,490.87, or 3.08%, and I did want to mention that of that $83,000 that the account balance is currently sitting at, $17,000 of that is my emergency fund stored in SPAXX, collecting the current 4.6% interest rate, which is lower than last month, but it's still higher than the historical average of about 1%. But this has been consistent for all of 2024, so there's no need to worry about that number impacting these numbers you see on the screen right now. Next, I wanted to show you guys how much money has been added to this account to invest for October with this right here. So as I just mentioned with that $17,000, you guys will be able to see that reflected in this available to trade box right here. Anything over that $17,000 is free to invest for each month going forward. So for the month of October, I will have the pleasure of spending $902.76 on my stocks. Now the question is, what will I have the pleasure of spending that money on, which I'll share with you right here. So right here, you'll be able to see all 11 of my holdings in my portfolio. I currently have what I consider to be 9 active holdings and 2 dormant holdings. My dormant holdings at the time of this recording are Starbucks and ExxonMobil, and those are dormant because they're underperforming the S&P 500 over the past 10 years, which is my number one and most important metric to me, because if I'm going to invest in individual stocks, I want to beat the market while doing so. As mentioned during last month's recap, I am contemplating doing a sizable change to my portfolio in the coming months, and I'm still working through that mentally. Initially, the thought in my head is that I want to have a very concentrated portion of my portfolio in the stocks I have the highest conviction in, which would make the most sense. Those stocks currently are Costco, Visa, and Microsoft, with Apple being in 4th place. I do like Apple long term. I'm just not a fan of the things that they've been putting out as far as actual physical devices. I don't think the iPhone's improving by that much. The Apple Watches are staying relatively the same. Yeah, they're upgrading chips and they're adding another 37 cameras to the back of the phone or whatever. I just don't see the innovation on that side of things as much as I would like. So that's the only reason I have hesitation on there. But Visa, Microsoft, and Costco are my favorite 3. I am thinking about like either stopping the contributions to all the other positions and just building up these positions to a way bigger position, or I could sell those positions and add all that sale money to those positions and slowly add other stocks that I feel just as strongly about. Or I could just keep going with what I'm doing. As we'll see later in the video, I do have my year-to-date performance of where it is over the short and long term. And spoiler alert, I do really well long term, so I don't know. You guys can let me know down in the comments what you guys think about those ideas. Like I said, I'm still batting it around in my head, so I'm open to suggestions. But with that being said, I wanted to quickly show you my top 3 and bottom 3 performers in this portfolio for the month of September, which will feed right into how they're doing for me all time. First, let's take a look at my 3rd best performer over the past month, which is Next Era Energy. That was up 5.53% just in the month of September, which is really, really good to see. So next, that's going to feed into number 2. My 2nd best performer over the past month is actually Pool Corp. That was up 6.21%. This is by far my most volatile stock. This stock has had months where it's down 20+%, up 20+%, and this is a little lower than obviously 20%, but 6% in a month is kind of wild. But it is only second. So I did have a stock that outperformed that. And that number one stock over the past 30 days is actually APD. That was up 7.41%. So you love to see that. This stock is a lot less volatile than Pool Corp, but it did have a really good month. So I'm not complaining with there. So let's take a look at the flip side of the coin to see my worst performers over the past month, beginning with number 3, which is actually ExxonMobil. Now, the good thing you'll notice here is this is my third worst performing stock, but it is in the green. So over the past month, ExxonMobil is actually up 0.28%. So that shows you that it's been a relatively good month if I can't really find 3 stocks in my portfolio that were in the red or really bad performers. So that's a good sign, but that sign does end here because I did have red performers coming in with number 2. My second worst performer over the past month is actually Visa, down 0.42%. It's nothing to break the bank about. I'm not crying about it. I like Visa long term. They had that DOJ probe into whatever they're trying to get Visa with. I think it was like a monopoly thing for charging fees on their cards or whatever. I just see it as a buying opportunity. Honestly, I just buy anyway, whether it's up or down, because I am a long-term hold anywho. But 0.42%, it is down for the month. I was able to buy throughout the month, so I appreciate it anyway. So with that being said, let's get into my worst performer over the past month, which is actually Costco. That's down a little bit more at 0.49%. Again, nothing to write home about. It's basically flat for the month. I don't know what the threshold is where you say basically flat. I'm going to say 0.5% or less is basically flat to me. But anywho, so we're going to go with the 0.49% down. Again, Costco is one of my biggest conviction holdings, as is Visa, both of which I've started adding a little bit more money to. I'm just changing my percentages. I'm still adding to all my other stocks as well, which you guys will see here in a second. But yeah, I was adding to the quote unquote dip if a 0.49 is a dip. So anyway, those are my top 3 and bottom 3 worst performers over the past 30 days. Let's see how that impacts their overall returns. First, by looking at my top 3 best performing positions all time. So coming in as my best performer all time is Costco, despite having a terrible month being down almost 0.5%. Costco is up 56.73% or $2,640.75. Coming in as my second best performer all time is actually AbbVie. That's up 40.96% or $2,238.17. And rounding out the top 3, my third best performer is Apple, that other stock I have really good conviction in, or I have wavering conviction in, I should say. That stock's up 38.43% or $2,156.50. So I do think that's a good sign that I do have wavering conviction or a little bit less conviction in Apple, and it isn't related to the stock price or how it's doing for me, because obviously it's doing well. It's in my top 3. So like I said, I'm still working on that. I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments. If you'd be so kind to bless me with your time to type a little comment down there, please do so. But now let's go ahead and flip this chart upside down and see which stocks are my worst 3 performers all time since I've held them with this screenshot right here. So coming in as my worst performer all time in this portfolio since I've had it is Starbucks. That's actually up 0.38% or $16.88. That's right. That means all 11 positions in my portfolio are actually in the green. And I'm pretty sure that's the first time that's ever happened. Maybe not ever like since I've held them, but probably ever since I've done these recordings. I don't think I've ever ended a month and did a recording for you guys where all my positions were in the green. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, Starbucks best, or technically my worst performer, up 0.38% or $16.88, which is about half a coffee, I think, if my memory is right. So then we get into my second worst performer. Sorry, I see all this green and I want to say it's my best, but yeah, my second worst performer is Pool Corp. That's up 2.06% or $111.42. And my third worst performer is APD. So 2 of my better stocks performing over the past month are some of my worst performers. So APD is up 6.2% or $271.22. I did want to draw attention down here to the very bottom where you can see that overall this portfolio is now up 24.81% or $13,003.19. We crossed $13,000 in gains in this portfolio, in addition to all the stocks in the portfolio being in the green. I don't know, the 13,000, I kind of expect that to not only be there, but keep growing. I don't know if all my stocks are going to stay in the green forever. Stay tuned next month. We'll see if that's true. But yeah, so I wanted to look at all these stocks that are in the green and see how my portfolio is doing year to date, how it did over the past month, and how it's doing long term with this screenshot right here. So as you guys will see, we have time weighted and money weighted. I've explained this 1,000 times on the channel already. I use the money weighted returns because I continually add money to my portfolio on a monthly basis and invest on a daily basis. So money weighted returns best reflects my investing strategy. So my money weighted returns over the past month is 2.07%, which does outperform the Dow, but underperforms the S&P and the NASDAQ. Then we're going to go over here to the year to date. My year to date money weighted returns are 13.48%, which is really good. But amazingly, all three of the indexes are doing even better this year, which is kind of crazy. We're having a good year. They're having a better year. So there's that. Then we're going to move over to the 1 year. Over the past 1 year, since September of last year, I'm up 21.09%, which again is very good, but the markets are doing even better. The markets over the past year are going gangbusters. I don't get it, but S&P's up 36%. The Dow Jones is up almost 29%. The NASDAQ's up almost 39%. It's crazy. But here's the thing that makes me contemplate how I'm going to move my portfolio is my 3-year performance. Money weighted is 15.99% per year on average. That outperforms all three indexes with these positions. So like, that's where I'm confused. Like this portfolio is doing very good over the long term, but it's not doing well recently. So like, I don't know if I'm just reacting to how the portfolio is going now, or if I actually do need to make some changes or whatever. Like I said, I'm still batting it around in my head. Obviously, I've talked about it like 3 times and haven't made up my mind yet. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. But anyway, next I'm going to go ahead and show you what I had the pleasure of spending my money on in this account over the past month with this right here. So I'm not going to go over each and every number on this little screenshot here, but I will outline the things I wanted you guys to take away. So the most shares I added over the past month with my buys is with NextEra Energy, where I added 1.165 shares. The most money I spent over the past month, like I told you guys, was actually on Visa, where I added $168.17. And the biggest increase in forward income was also with NextEra Energy, where I added an additional $2.40. In total, I added 4.286 shares over the course of 19 trading days, spending $933.07 to add $13.38 in added forward income. Now let's go ahead and get to what you guys are all probably here for, the dividends. So for the month of September, I actually received 4 dividend payments and 1 interest payment. Kicking things off on September 3rd was Visa, where they paid me $9.84. My previous payment from Visa was $9.11, which is an 8.01% increase. This time last year, I was making $5.83, so we're 68.78% higher than that right now. And the first ever payment from Visa was actually 9 cents, which is now up a whopping 10,833.3% to what I'm receiving now. In total, I've now received $60.68 in career dividends from Visa, which comes out to 2.09% of the total dividends received in this account, which earned me almost a quarter of a share for free via the drip. Next up, 1 week later on September 10th, I received $39.48 from ExxonMobil. My previous payment from this one was $39.15, which means we're now getting 0.84% more money from ExxonMobil. Keep in mind that the increases I'm receiving in 2024 are only drip related, as this is a stock that I've suspended buys in because of that underperformance. So any increases in 2024 is only Exxon adding money to Exxon, if that makes any sense. So this time last year, I was getting $31.55, which is a 25.13% increase. I'm getting 25.13% more than I was this time last year. And my first ever payment from Exxon was $1.28, which means now I'm getting $2,984.38% more money from Exxon than I was the first time they paid me. In total, I've now received $353.29 in career dividends from ExxonMobil, which comes out to 12.19% of the total dividends received in this account, which has earned me over 3 shares for free via the drip. 2 days after that, on September 12th, I received $13.13 from Microsoft. The previous time they paid me was $12.52, so I've received an increase of 4.87%. This time last year, Microsoft was paying me $8.86, which I'm now getting 48.19% more than that. And the first ever payment from Microsoft was $2.54, which means I'm now 416.93% higher than that. In total, I've now received $86.15 in career dividends from Microsoft, which comes out to 2.97% of the total dividends received in this account, which has earned me a quarter share for free via the drip. 4 days later, on September 16th, I received $30.06 from NextEra Energy. The previous payment from them was $27.86, which means I'm up 7.9% from that. This time last year, I made $16.58, or 81.3% higher than that. And my first ever payment from NextEra Energy was $2.73, which means I'm currently up 1,001% from that payment to where we are now. In total, I've now received $173.44 in career dividends from NextEra Energy, which comes out to 5.99% of the total dividends received in this account, which has earned me over 2 1/3 shares for free via the drip. Then, to conclude the month on September 30th, I received $68.88 from SPAXX. The previous time they paid me was $73.70. Keep in mind that this has gone down because the Feds reduced their interest rates. This was a drop by 6.54%. I didn't do anything wrong. They're just dropping rates. Nothing you can do about it. I'm okay with that. This is just bonus money for me. Anywho, this time last year, I was only making $30.15 off of this position anyway. So the $68.88 is up 114.25% from that time. And the very first time they paid me, it was a whopping 1 cent, which means we're up 688,700% off of this interest we just received versus the first time. So like I said, can't complain about anything. In total, I've now received $964.17 in career interest from SPAXX, which comes out to 32.51% of the total income received in this account, which is then used to add more shares of my other holdings, so you love to see that. Now, to start this episode, I wanted to know what you guys made for the month and to end quarter 3, and now we're going to go ahead and add all these numbers up and find out that information for me, so let's check that out with this chart right here. So I love this chart. I see other people on X and Facebook and all these other places have charts similar to this, but I honestly think I might be biased. I think I have the best looking chart. It has all the information you'd possibly want to know. It's color coded. It has them all comparing each other to each other, that kind of thing. So this month for September, I made a whopping $161.39, which is up 60.4% from this time last year. The previous related month in June, I made $159.54. So we're up 1.16% from that. And the other related month that we have so far this year is March. And I actually made $172.45 that month, which means we are down 6.41%, and I was curious why that happened. So this looks like my interest payment in March was a little bit higher than what I received this month. That's not the big reason. The big reason is Pool Corp pays in March, May, and August for whatever reason, so it's like a weird pay cycle. So I actually got paid in March for this one, and then I got paid for it last month, so it doesn't factor into this month. So that's why the difference is there. So that 6.41%, I didn't get any dividend decreases or anything like that. I don't do dividend cuts, so that's the reason. So I'm glad I looked into that so I could provide that to you guys. So now that September's done, we do have all of our quarter results as well. So to conclude quarter 3, we did make $477.74, which is up 80.6% versus quarter 3 of last year. Then if you look at quarter 2 of this year, we had $464.55. So we're up 2.84% on that. And then if you look at quarter 1, again, we have a little bit of an outlier here. Quarter 1, I actually made $547.85. So we're down 12.8% from that. This is largely due to the $99.11 special dividend I received from Costco. So if you subtract that, it's actually higher. We've increased every quarter like we like to continue to do so. I'm not complaining. I'm not going to say, hey, Costco, never send me those special dividends. It's messing up my chart and making me look like I don't know what I'm doing. I would love for Costco to pay a special dividend all the time. So that's the reason why the quarter 1 was better than quarter 2, but quarter 3 was better than quarter 1. And if you subtract that, quarter 3 was better than quarter 2, which was better than quarter 1. So with all that being said, our year-to-date total for the dividends and interest received in this account so far in 2024 is now up to $1,490.14, which is already 59.3% higher than all of 2023, and we still have 3 months left to go. Another thing I started doing recently, just because I'm a nerd about this stuff, is I started compiling these numbers up and doing a little Excel magic to try to figure out what my end of year projection is and doing that month over month. I made this little chart. It's nothing fancy. You guys can see how my end of year projections have changed a lot based off of everything. So currently we're sitting at an end of year projection of $1,854.70 to be received in this account, which if that holds true, we'd be up 98.32% versus what we received in 2023. So make sure you guys keep coming back every month so you guys can see this number change and obviously keep up with all the other stuff I've talked about so far. See this number change and we can see how close I get to that number and what we end up beating the last year's number by, because that's the goal, right? Every year you want to raise the bar, and then the next year you want to beat the bar and raise the bar again for the following year. So continuing that nerd stretch, out of curiosity, I'm going to go ahead and add all of my dividend career earnings up and then take a look at the infamous dividend snowball for the final piece of motivation. So looking at this chart, you guys can notice a couple things. So it doesn't have a ton of information on it, but the information is very motivational, at least to me. So in my IBA, which is the account I've been talking about this whole time, I'm up to $2,966.10. I am 99.9% sure we're going to break 3K this coming month. So again, that's another thing to come back to the next month's video to make sure. I try to get these videos out the first Monday of every month. I might get this one out a little bit sooner than that just because the first Monday of October is like a freaking week into October. So I don't know if I want to wait that long. It all depends on how much editing I do and such like that. So we're going to pass $3,000. I did have a previous goal in a previous episode of trying to hit 12 drip shares in this account. Clearly we've already passed that, right? So I don't know what a audacious, like a crazy goal. I don't know if I use that word right. I don't know what a crazy goal is for the drip shares. I don't want to say 20. I feel like that's not realistic. I don't want to say 14 because last time I set a goal that small, we passed it in the next episode. I'm going to say the new goal is 15 drip shares by the end of the year. I don't know if that's crazy or not. We'll see. So we'll see. That's the goal. So over 3K, easy to hit. Over 15 drip shares, who knows? Stay tuned. But with that being said, before I let you guys go, I wanted to show you something that is near and dear to our hearts as dividend investors, and that's the dividend snowball and this simple tool I made to track its progress. So since we passed $2,900 this month, I only have an update to the buy 100s chart, so I'll talk about that one here. Last month, the average number of days for this chart was 55.5 days, and with this update, it's now down to 54.6 days. In this case, going down is good. In simple terms, it took me 394 days to make my first $100 in this account, 147 days to make my second $100 in this account, and with the newest $100 taking me only 31 days, the average time between those sweet $100 bills is now down to just 54.6 days, and you love to see that. Since the progress on this increment has been picking up to at least one milestone per month, I did make these other charts for slightly larger increments such as 250s, 500s, and even buy 1000s that I will update and share as updates are available. Next month, since we'll be passing that $3,000 mark, I'll have updates to all four of these charts, so make sure you come back to check on that as I keep working on lowering these average and working my way to an early retirement. But with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this content today. I don't make these videos to serve as some kind of brag. I really want it to be inspiration and motivation for you to create your own source of growing passive income. If you guys did enjoy this video, a like on the video is always appreciated and it's free to you, helps the channel out a lot. And if you guys want to stay up with these type of videos and my other dividend related content, make sure you guys subscribe. Before you go, if you guys are in the market for some super high quality dividend stocks, make sure you check out this video right here. But until next time, see you.